Chosen one, this is not random. This message is urgent and divinely timed. God sees something you may be overlooking right now. A decision, a direction, or a distraction could be pulling you off your path. He is calling you to pause, reflect, and realign with His will. Listen closely. This warning could protect your purpose and your destiny. Sometimes the most dangerous mistakes are not loud or obvious, but quiet and subtle, slipping into your life without immediate warning. As a chosen one, your path is often guided by divine purpose, yet even you are not immune to moments of misalignment. This is why spiritual discernment is so critical. It's not always about recognizing clear right or wrong, but sensing when something feels slightly off, even if it appears good on the surface. The enemy doesn't always attack with chaos. Sometimes the distraction comes disguised as an opportunity, a relationship, or a decision that seems harmless but slowly pulls you away from your true calling. You may have recently felt a sense of unease, a quiet inner nudge that something isn't sitting right within your spirit. That feeling is not to be ignored. God often communicates through that still, small voice, urging you to pay attention before a small misstep becomes a larger consequence. The mistake you are making might not be a drastic action, but rather a shift in focus, priorities, or energy. Perhaps you've started to rely more on your own understanding instead of seeking divine guidance, or maybe you've allowed external voices to influence your direction more than God's truth. Discernment requires you to slow down and truly examine what is happening beneath the surface. Ask yourself, is this leading me closer to God or further away? Is this aligned with the purpose I once felt so clearly? Sometimes the mistake lies in compromise, accepting less than what God has called you to, or settling into comfort when you were meant to grow. Other times, it's about timing, moving too quickly, without waiting for confirmation or stepping into something before God has fully prepared you. It's important to remember that not every open door is meant for you. Just because something is available doesn't mean it is assigned. This is where many chosen ones slip. They assume opportunity equals calling. But God's path requires alignment, not just access. When you begin to discern these subtle differences, you protect yourself from unnecessary detours. Take this moment as a divine interruption, not a condemnation. God is not exposing this to shame you, but to correct and guide you. There is still time to adjust, to step back, and to realign with His will. The more sensitive you become to these subtle signals, the stronger your spiritual awareness will grow. And in that awareness, you will avoid mistakes that could delay your purpose and instead walk confidently in the direction God has truly set for you. There are moments in life when moving forward feels natural, even necessary. As a chosen one, not every moment is meant for action, some are meant for pause. Right now, you may be on the edge of making a decision, taking a step, or responding to a situation, but God is urging you to slow down. The pressure to act quickly can come from fear, emotions, or even outside expectations, but rushing can lead you away from clarity. A pause is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is in the pause that you create space to hear God more clearly and separate truth from impulse. You might feel like time is running out or that you'll miss an opportunity if you don't act now. But what is meant for you will not require panic or haste. God's timing is precise, and when He leads, there is a sense of peace, not confusion. Acting too soon can cause you to step into something unprepared, misaligned, or unnecessary. Many mistakes happen not because of wrong intentions, but because of rushed decisions. When you pause, you give yourself the chance to see what you couldn't see in motion. This pause is also a test of trust. Can you trust God enough to wait, even when everything around you is telling you to move? Waiting doesn't mean doing nothing. It means seeking, praying, and allowing God to confirm your next step. It means checking your motives and asking whether your actions are driven by faith or fear. Sometimes what feels urgent is actually a distraction designed to pull you off course. During this pause, pay attention to your inner state. Are you feeling anxious, pressured, or overwhelmed? Those are often signs that you are not operating in alignment. God's direction brings clarity and calm, even if the path is challenging. When you slow down, you allow those emotions to settle so you can make a decision from a place of peace rather than reaction. Remember, you don't have to have everything figured out right now. God is not asking for perfection, He is asking for obedience and awareness. By pausing before your next move, you protect yourself from unnecessary setbacks and open the door for divine guidance to lead you exactly where you need to be. Sometimes the most powerful step you can take is no step at all, until God says it's time. Not every voice that speaks into your life carries truth, and as a chosen one, you must become highly sensitive to what you allow to influence your spirit. Every day you are surrounded by opinions, advice, social pressure, and even well-meaning guidance, but not all of it is aligned with God's will for you. This is why testing every voice and influence is essential. Just because something sounds good, logical, or popular does not mean it is right for your path. Discernment is your protection. You may have noticed how easy it is to be swayed when multiple voices are speaking at once. Friends, family, social media, and even your own thoughts can create noise that drowns out the voice of God. Sometimes the loudest voice feels the most convincing, but God often speaks in a still, quiet way. If you are not careful, you can begin to follow what is trending instead of what is true. That is where many chosen ones lose clarity. They start seeking validation from people instead of confirmation from God. Testing a voice means questioning its source. Where is this coming from? Does it align with God's character, His word, and the purpose He placed inside you? Or is it rooted in fear, doubt, comparison, or control? Some influences may push you to act out of urgency, insecurity, or the need to prove something, but God's voice does not pressure, it leads with peace and clarity. If something is making you feel rushed, confused, or unsettled, that is a sign to step back and examine it more closely. Even your own inner voice must be tested. Not every thought you have is truth. Emotions can distort perception, especially when you are tired, hurt, or overwhelmed. What feels right in the moment may not be spiritually aligned. This is why it's important to bring every thought and influence before God, asking Him to reveal what is real and what is not. Prayer, reflection, and stillness help filter out the noise so truth can rise to the surface. There will also be moments when people don't understand your path and may unintentionally lead you away from it. That doesn't make them wrong, it just means they are not assigned to guide that part of your journey. As a chosen one, you must be careful not to hand over your direction to voices that were never meant to lead you. Respect advice, but don't replace God's authority with human opinion. When you begin to test every voice and influence, you take back control of your spiritual direction. You become less reactive and more intentional. You stop following blindly and start walking with clarity. This level of awareness protects your purpose and keeps you aligned with God's plan, even in a world full of noise and distraction. At some point along your journey, it's easy to drift from what God originally showed you. Not in a dramatic way, but in small, gradual shifts, distractions, delays, and influences that slowly pull you off course. That's why returning to God's original instruction is so important. There was a moment when things felt clear, when you knew what God was asking of you, when your spirit was aligned and focused. But over time, doubt, fear, or external pressure may have caused you to question or even abandon that direction. God's original instruction doesn't change just because circumstances do. What He placed in your heart was not random, it was intentional and designed for your purpose. Sometimes when things don't unfold the way you expected, you may assume you heard wrong or that the path is no longer valid. But often, the issue isn't the instruction, it's the deviation. You may have added your own steps, listened to other voices, or tried to force timing that wasn't right. And before you realize it, you're moving, but not in the direction you were meant to go. Returning doesn't mean starting over. It completely means realigning. It requires humility to admit that you may have drifted, but that humility is what opens the door for correction. God is not looking to condemn you for stepping off track. He is inviting you back with clarity and purpose. When you go back to what He first told you, you remove the confusion that came from overthinking and outside influence. Take a moment to reflect. What was God showing you in the beginning? What did you feel strongly about before doubt entered? That original sense of peace and direction is a clue. God's voice is consistent, even when life becomes unpredictable. The challenge is not hearing Him, it's staying aligned with what He has already said. You may also find that returning requires letting go of certain things you picked up along the way, habits, relationships, or commitments that were never part of the original plan. These things can weigh you down and make it harder to move forward with clarity. But when you release what doesn't belong, you create space to walk fully in what does. This is your moment to reset, not retreat. Returning to God's original instruction brings you back into alignment with your purpose. It restores your focus, strengthens your faith, and positions you exactly where you need to be. What God started in you still stands. You just need to come back to it with obedience and trust. One of the easiest ways to fall into a mistake is by allowing your emotions to take control of your decisions. Emotions are powerful. They can feel urgent, convincing, and even overwhelming. But as a chosen one, you are not meant to be led by feelings alone. When emotions drive your choices, clarity often gets replaced with reaction. You might say something too quickly, commit to something too soon, or walk away from something that required patience. In the moment, it feels justified, but later, you may realize it pulled you away from alignment. Emotions are not wrong, but they are not always reliable guides. Shift depending on circumstances, stress, and perception. What feels right today might not feel the same tomorrow. That's why making decisions in emotional highs or lows can be risky. When you are overly excited, you may overlook red flags. When you are hurt or frustrated, you may push away what is actually meant for you. Emotional decisions often come from a place of reaction rather than wisdom. God's guidance operates differently. It brings a sense of steadiness, even in uncertain situations. For aligned with Him, your decisions come from a place of peace, not pressure. If you feel rushed, anxious, or emotionally overwhelmed, that is usually a sign to pause rather than proceed. Acting in that state can lead to choices that you wouldn't make if you were grounded and clear. It's important to create space between what you feel and what you choose. That space allows you to process your emotions without being controlled by them. Instead of reacting immediately, take time to reflect, pray, and seek clarity. Ask yourself whether this decision still makes sense once the intensity of the emotion fades. Many times, what felt urgent loses its weight when you step back and look at it calmly. You may also need to recognize patterns in your emotional responses. Are there certain triggers that cause you to act impulsively? Are there situations where you consistently make rushed decisions? Awareness of these patterns helps you break the cycle. It allows you to respond with intention instead of habit. Choosing not to be led by emotions doesn't mean ignoring them, it means managing them with wisdom. Your feelings can inform you, but they should not control you. When you learn to balance emotion with discernment, you protect yourself from unnecessary mistakes and stay aligned with God's direction. In that balance, your decisions become stronger, clearer, and rooted in purpose rather than impulse. Your spiritual awareness is not something that stays the same at either, grows stronger or becomes dull depending on how you nurture it. As a chosen one, you are called to operate with a higher level of sensitivity, to notice what others might overlook, and to discern what is happening beyond the surface. But this awareness requires intention. If you neglect it, distractions, routine, and noise can slowly weaken your ability to sense what God is showing you. You may have experienced moments where you felt deeply connected, where everything seemed clear and aligned. But there are also times when that clarity fades and things feel distant or confusing. This doesn't mean God has stopped speaking. It often means your attention has been pulled elsewhere. Strengthening your spiritual awareness is about returning your focus, creating space to listen, and becoming more conscious of what is happening within and around you. One of the biggest challenges is the constant noise of everyday life. Social media, responsibilities, conversations, and stress can all crowd mind, leaving little room for stillness. When your mind is always occupied, it becomes harder to recognize the subtle ways God communicates. That's why quiet moments are essential. In stillness, your awareness sharpens. You begin to notice patterns, feelings, and insights that you would normally miss in a busy state. Spiritual awareness also grows through consistency. It's not built in one moment, but through daily choices, choosing to reflect, to pray, to observe rather than react. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. You start to pick up on things faster, sense when something is off, and recognize when you are being guided in a certain direction. This awareness becomes a form of protection, helping you avoid situations that could lead you away from your purpose. Another important part is being honest with yourself. Sometimes you already sense what is right or wrong, but you ignore it because it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. Strengthening your awareness means trusting that inner signal instead of dismissing it. The more you listen to it, the stronger it becomes. The more you ignore it, the quieter it gets. You are not meant to move through life blindly. You are meant to walk with clarity, with a sense of direction that comes from being spiritually tuned in. When your awareness is strong, you don't just react to life, you understand it. You see beyond appearances and make decisions with confidence. Strengthening this awareness keeps you aligned, grounded, and connected to the path God has set before you. There will be moments when you feel a strong urge to act quickly, to follow what feels right in the moment, or to take control of a situation based on your own understanding. But as a chosen one, your strength is not found in acting on impulse, it is found in obedience. Obedience requires patience, trust, and the willingness to follow God's direction, even when it doesn't match your immediate desires or expectations. Impulse is often loud and urgent, while obedience is steady and intentional. Acting on impulse can feel powerful at first. It gives you a sense of control, as if you are taking charge of your life. But many impulsive decisions come from emotions, pressure, or fear, rather than clarity. In those moments, you may overlook important details or ignore the quiet warning inside you. What feels like confidence can sometimes be reaction, and reaction without discernment can lead you away from the path you are meant to follow. Obedience, on the other hand, often requires you to slow down and surrender your need to understand everything immediately. It means trusting that God sees what you cannot. There may be times when His direction doesn't make sense right away, or when it challenges what you feel like doing. But obedience is not about comfort, it's about alignment. When you choose obedience over impulse, you are choosing long-term purpose over short-term satisfaction. You might find yourself in situations where acting quickly seems easier than waiting. Maybe you want to respond to someone, make a decision, or move forward without delay. But before you act, ask yourself, is this coming from a place of peace,